folks, Pat Healy here for the Laker News. We are presenting our candidate interviews for Waverley-Fall River-Musquodoboit Valley. Incumbent Cathy Deagle Gammon, Chris Balcom, and Angela Dennison are vying to be the representative chosen in the October 19th HRM Municipal election. We wanted to give residents a chance to ask questions to the candidates that may help in their decision-making process. We asked the community to submit the questions. We had a good response with some very good questions submitted that we narrowed down to the ones we're asking each of the three candidates. Thank you to Joanne Poulin of eXp Realty for sponsoring these video interviews. Now let's go see what they have to say. I'm here with District 1 Waverley-Fall River-Musquodoboit Valley Council candidate Cathy Deagle Gammon. Cathy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Pat. My name, as you said, Cathy Deagle Gammon, and I am the current councillor, and I am also the deputy mayor for the Halifax Regional Municipality. My husband, Percy, and I, and our miniature schnauzer, Charlie, live here in Fall River for about 30 years. Actually, it'll be 30 years in May. And before becoming a councillor, I had a number of years in the nonprofit sector, running a multi-million-dollar social enterprise. Worked with a unionized staff team and all orders of government in order to attain the social enterprise mission for people with disabilities. And so transitioning from that to being a municipal councillor has seemed very seamless to me, to be honest, and understanding how government works, all of that kind of stuff. It's really made for a very interesting 4 years. Definitely a skill set that was required for council.
Okay. What is your opinion on working towards a public transit rail system from rural communities to the downtown core, and would you support it?
Well, interesting question, and I actually think that you covered this story when Barry Dalrymple was the councillor and Tim Outhead, and they did had staff do a full investigation about using rail, and CN came up with the fact that they own the track. Even if they did allow commuter rail, they would prioritize freight and they would still own all the infrastructure. And because they prioritize freight, that means that they didn't prioritize people. And so that ended that conversation for a while. Now what we have is an opportunity maybe for light rail. Well, light rail is a little bit different than commuter rail, and it would mean then building all of the infrastructure probably along the 100 series highways. That would take billions of dollars. And so it would, of course, require all levels of government, all orders of government to fund, predominantly, mostly, probably like federal funding, federal first, provincial second. And in order to get that to work, we would probably need a significant population. And I believe the report that was done said something about up to 750,000 in HRM, or up to 1 million, before they would see that as a worthwhile business case. Recently, the province has come up with the Joint Regional Transportation Authority. Now, they are looking at how all municipalities are connected, how the province is connected, and they're looking at all kinds of options. They're looking at transit, they're looking at all of our highways, they're looking at what's needed there. And in their report, their mandate, they do say that they would look at light rail. So that is a very significant body that will work towards it. So would I support light rail? I would if it was the right business case. So you always have to look at, yes, it's nice, what is it going to cost and who has to pay for it? So if the business case is there, I would support. If it is not, then I could not support that.
What are the top 3 issues you believe homeowners in District 1 want to have addressed within the next 4 years, and how do you plan to address and resolve those concerns?
Great question. Housing. So we do not have the kind of housing mix that people want. Seniors want to downscale, but they want to stay in their own communities. So we need to find a good housing mix. And they call that sort of the missing middle housing, right? So we need to see how that's going to happen. And then the other thing is that we want to grow, but we have aging infrastructure. And aging infrastructure with new growth is going to be a bit of a challenge. So we have to look at that. Of course, I mean, you can hear it. Traffic is an issue for everyone. So with growth is going to come a lot of more. We're a car dependent. We don't have transit here. So right now we're very car dependent. And so people are wondering, how are we going to manage all of this traffic? The lights at here at the Fall River Road and Sobeys is a huge problem that everybody has been talking about. So in the next 4 years, one of the things I want to see fixed there is that we're doing a big transit study, so then a transportation study, looking at the movement of traffic and all of that. So with the Aerotech connector opening and the Sackville connector opening, we're going to do some modeling to see where will the traffic patterns change and how will they change. And those lights need to change, but that's a capital budget requirement. It is older infrastructure, so changing the timing of the lights, we've done it a few times in my 4 years. We make one set of residents happy with the change, and then we make somebody else not so happy. So it does need an entire new infrastructure, which is a capital budget item. So that is one of the things that I will look at in the 4 years to try to get done. So it's like housing, it's traffic, it's the lights, it's the aging infrastructure. It's that we still have communities in District 1 that don't have municipal water. So again, the conversation is we pay our taxes and what do we get for that? So everybody is looking at municipal services, so we have to figure that out as well.
All right. Musquodoboit Valley once was a small community that flourished with businesses, farming, trades, etc. Lots of families are starting to move back. How will the candidate help to draw in businesses to the community and maintain those residents?
Well, what a great question, and something that I've already been working on, which is great. So early in the term, when we were doing budgets, there were 2 positions that I advocated for, and one was within the Halifax Partnership for rural economic development staff position, and then the other one was to go to Discover Halifax, and again to have a rural role in what they were doing. So those 2 positions actually were funded. We've got people hired. They've been working. They've been down in Musquodoboit Valley working with a group of entrepreneurs, which is great. I had them come down and visit. There was a small group of people. The excitement that's happening in the Musquodoboit Valley right now, like literally, it just makes you giddy because everybody is so engaged and the work that they're doing is phenomenal. So this entrepreneurship group got together, started talking informally about pride of place and bringing back that, I guess that whole sense of community and community value and celebrating who they were and what they do and how they live. And when you go that far out sometimes, in the rural, they sort of felt disconnected from HRM. And so the job that I was so happy to do was to be able to prove that or show that and support the rural part of the district. And so that's been great. So we have those 2 positions. You've had that group of entrepreneurs that have come together, which is great. And then there was another group kind of formed. They applied to St. FX for funding to participate in this sort of rural economic development group. They're phenomenal. So we've had a whole bunch of meetings. We've done community mapping, and then they've sprung out, and now there's the Musquodoboit Valley Communities Association. So I've been to their meetings, and so the role of the councillor is to support that energy, to make sure that we put resources where they need them, and it is definitely not to go down and do anything other than listen and say, what do you need, and let's figure out how to get you that. So I think that that's a beautiful thing. The other thing that we need to look at is in terms of the regional plan, we're waiting for phase 5, which really looks at how rural development is going to grow. And we also just finished the rural recreation strategy, which is another game changer for the rural part of the district. Because we need to figure out, when you say about keeping families, well, families, we need things to do. Our kids need things to do, places to go. And so when you think about this beautiful rural community that we have, yes, there's amazing outdoor stuff, but we also need to figure out where are we going to support within communities. So I believe that the group in Musquodoboit that we're looking at, they're really looking to figure out how making a community center of some kind. They're also extremely collaborative, right? So this communities association is going to have, like, they're creating a website, and it's going to be from like Elderbank, which is like one of the youngest boards, I think, in HRM. They're phenomenal. But from Elderbank to Myers Grant to Middle to Upper to Dean, they're making a community calendar. So they'll know what's going on in every community and not have to compete with each other, but really collaborate and celebrate the value that they all bring to the Musquodoboit Valley. It's impressive.
All right, with the continued growth happening in Fall River West, how do you plan on alleviating the traffic congestion at the intersection of Fall River Road and Highway 2?
So we just spoke about that a little bit, didn't we? So the light structure itself needs to be replaced, and that's a capital budget item. And how HRM determines that there's criteria and different intersections are rated for when they need to be replaced. And of course, if tragedy happens, bad things happen, of course, it would change things. But, at this point in time, we're safe. It is inconvenient. You do have to wait at the lights, and there's a lot of problems about the timing. And we've played with the timing a couple of times, and it's not ever made anybody happy. So we need to change the lights.
Considering the rapid growth in our district and HRM in general, it is imperative to ensure that infrastructure, transportation, hospitals, and schools are adequately developed to meet the increasing demands. If elected, what will you do to attempt to stay ahead of this ongoing problem?
It is a problem. And it's also a problem because most of the things that you just mentioned are not municipal mandates, but they are provincial mandates. So what would I do? I would take a page out of Tim Outhit's book. I would take a page out of Tony Mancini's book. The Port Wallace development, the Bedford West development. What they did really as their councillors was work collaboratively with the other orders of government to say this big development is happening, and work with the developer to say how do we put that infrastructure in at the beginning so that we're not playing catch up later. There's been some phenomenal work. I have sat in on quite a few of the meetings around the Port Wallace development, and sitting in on those was really to learn about how to do this well. So they had a really good developer, they had really good commitment with the province, they had good commitments with the HRM in terms of fire and transit and bus. So that's the thing that needs to happen. If it's going to happen well, it's going to happen because there's good collaboration and the right people at the table.
What is your plans for additional recreation facilities for Fall River, like hockey rinks or additional baseball fields?
Well, the baseball fields we're working on. At Carmel Crescent, of course, we've got 2 baseball fields there, and they've got a football field, so that's good. It has been quite the journey trying to get the lights at the ball field at the McDonald Sports Park. We just had the playing field strategy adopted, and they reclassified the fields. And with within HRM, and LWF baseball has got the most kids in baseball, and we have the least qualified fields. So we have work to do to get more baseball fields, absolutely. In terms of a hockey rink, again, that's probably population-based. Like if you've got the population, then you're going to be able to do that. There are some developers that are looking at significant developments in our district, so we would talk to them about what is the value add that they might want to bring to a development, so we can talk about it that way, see about getting developers on side and bringing value to a development that they might bring.
Is there any plan to bring more bus services to Fall River?
Well, we do have the motion, and unanimously passed to do a staff report to bring the bus from Perrin Drive down here along Highway 2 and out to the Aerotech connector. That would probably be as a first test in a way. The problem and why it hasn't happened in this 4 years is that the transit service boundary was not open for discussion. So that should change next year, and it will be impacted also by the Joint Regional Transportation Authority's work and what their recommendations might be. So we have some filters to look through in terms of the Joint Regional Transportation, see what will happen on the report. Now, mind you, the bus is an express bus for the airport. So there were some contractual things with the airport that would need to be considered as well. So we'll see what the staff report comes back with. But definitely I would like to see transit come not into the subdivisions, because I don't think that's what people want. But if we could bring the bus down here along Highway to maybe even figure out how to connect, even if it wasn't that bus, could there be a shuttle bus that we connect from Fall River probably to Cobequid, and then we would sort of get both areas covered? I think that that's possible. So we'll work on that.
Would you consider looking into the expansion of municipal water to more areas of Fall River?
So your timing on that question is great, because we did have a motion in and approved for Fall River water expansion. It is on the agenda today at Regional Council. It's the information report. So far they've done a little bit of an investigation, and in the information report, which is now public, says that we need $50,000 to get some specific consulting work done, and that is within our budget. So there has been some efficiencies, so we don't have to go looking for the $50,000. That will happen, and so we are well on the road to finding out what water expansion will be like in Fall River. Now, this one was specific to a community, one community, so I know that there are others. So let's see what this happens with this one, and then we'll keep going.
What will be done to ensure the safety of residents who draw well water in Fall River Village? This is in regards to 2 developments and who will monitor the groundwater.
So the saying is that water in a well is the province and water in a pipe is the municipality. So well water is regulated and approved by the Nova Scotia Environment and Climate Change. So they're the ones that will monitor anything that happens within the well systems.
Summarize why you should be the one getting residents' votes on October 19th.
Well, that's a great. Is that last question? That's a good one. I should be in this job again for another 4 years. 1, because I have the experience. 2, because I have the relationships already developed within HRM and within other orders of government. I'm dedicated and I work really hard for our residents. I am a full-time counselor who is very transparent and honest, and excellent communicator in terms of always getting back to people. So I'm ready for this for another 4 years, folks. Vote for Cathy.
Thank you. Thanks for watching our candidate interviews. We hope that the answers provide a better idea on where the candidates stand with regards to issues and concerns in our community. Municipal politics is the one level of government that has such an impact on our lives, so it's important to get out and vote. Advance online and telephone voting is from October 8th to 16th, while advance in-person voting is October 12th and 15th. For more information, check out the HRM elections page. Thank you to Joanne Poulin of eXp Realty for sponsoring these video interviews. Pat Healy for the Laker News in Fall River.